Hello everyone, my name is Rahul, and in this video I am going to discuss the questions which I have received in this task 7.1p. So my first question is explain how inheritance and polymorphism are used in the solution. So I will open my Visual Code in which I have my 7.1p code. So here in this, firstly I'm going to explain about the inheritance, how the inheritance is used in my program. So firstly, I have used a base class name transaction. So this class is containing the common data like the amount, success, execution, status, and these date stamp, and some methods like the executed, reverse, and uh, rollback, as you can see. So instead of repeating this code again and again, I have used here inheritance. So there are the three classes for this deposit transaction, and then next is this withdraw transaction, and then next is this transfer transaction. All these three classes are inheriting from the transaction class. So because of this, all these three classes are getting the common properties and the methods like here, as you can see, the success execute method and the rollback method. So these classes are overriding these methods like this execute and rollback to perform their own specific behavior. So now I will explain how the polymorphism is used in this code. Here, as you can see, this is the execute transaction method, which is taking a parameter of the type transaction. So, which means we can pass any type of transaction object like deposit, withdraw, or transfer into this method. So then, as you can see here, we have this e dot execute. And when this line is going to run, the correct execute method will be called depending on the object type. So if it will be a deposit transaction, deposit will happen. If it will be a withdraw transaction, then withdraw will happen. Which is also showing this is a runtime polymorphism. So then next we have the second question, which is how can the one method perform any kind of transaction. For this, as we can see here, the execute transaction method which is designed to handle all the type of transactions. It takes the parameter of type transaction, which is the base class. And here t dot execute, which means the method calls execute on the transaction object. But which execute method runs depends on the actual object type pass. So for this, as you can see here in this deposit transaction class, which is inheriting its properties from the transaction class, which is overriding this execute method to perform the deposit. And similarly in the withdraw transaction class, which is also inheriting from the transaction overriding this execute method to perform the particular uh, withdrawal. So even though we are calling the same method execute transaction, it works for the all transaction types. This is because all classes share the same base type, but which but each one has its own implementation of execute. So at the runtime, the correct method is called automatically depending on the object, which is showing this is a example of polymorphism. Now, so now the third question is, what changes would you need to make to the bank to include a new transaction type? So we don't really need that much to change the bank class because I have already designed this bank class that it can handle any type of object. Because this is because the bank class is using the base class transaction, which I have already explained earlier. So if we want to create a new transaction class, like for example, any class, and make it inherit from the transaction class, the bank will automatically support it because this execute transaction method can take any transaction object, so we don't need to change that part. Only we have to make a small change, maybe in the menu or in the input part. So where we can where we can create a new transaction object. So overall, we did not need that much changes because this as a system is very flexible and the system is also easy to expand. We have this question: what are the advantages we get to inheritance, and what are the advantages does this polymorphism provide? So as we have already discussed about the inheritance and the polymorphism as here we have our uh, abstract class transition. So this is basically a base class which have the fields like this amount, success, executed, reverse, daytime. Inheritance helps us to reduce the code repetition. These common variables and the methods like this execute, print, are once written in this transaction class. So we do not have to write it again and again. So as you can see here we have a deposit transaction class which inherits from the transaction. And further we have the withdraw transaction class which also inherits from the transaction. So as you can see, uh, these classes are using the same data from the transaction instead of writing it again. So the code becomes more easy and clean and easy to write. So then next we have the advantages of polymorphism. For this we will go to our type class. So here is our execute transaction method. So polymorphism allows one method to handle different type of transactions. Here this method is doing the same. So when we will run this line will work for the deposit, withdraw, and the transfer. So next, as you can see here in this withdraw transaction class, uh, this class has this own execute method. So the correct ones will run automatically. So I, at conclusion, I will say inheritance help us to reuse code and reduce repetition. Why polymorphism helps one method work with the different objects, make the system more flexible and easy to extend.